Hello guys, welcome back. Over the past few months, I have gotten countless requests to create a video on the latest updates in Yahoo Finance API 2025. You guys are facing a lot of problem regarding downloading the historical data from Yahoo Finance with the new API. And some of you asked questions about the structural changes that Yahoo Finance did and how to handle with the Python code. And some of you asked about the changes in the data itself. And also, some of you asked me to provide you the Python code for downloading the data for the multiple tickers. So I'm going to cover everything in this video. First, I am going to talk about how to download the historical data from Yahoo Finance with the new API. And I'm going to provide you the Python code as well for that. Then we will talk about what are the structural changes that they have done and how to handle it with the Python code. Then we will talk about what are the changes they have done in the data itself. And finally, I will tell you how to download for the multiple tickers with the new API. And I'm going to send you the Python code as well for that. So let's quickly start with that. So I have given you the link here for the new API reference. So if you click on this, now you can say this is the API reference for the new Y Finance. Here you can see download. So click on download. Then this will give you the download function. As you can see here, this is the download function and the output is a data frame. So if you simply run this function, you will get a data frame which will contain all the required data that you want. So we will use this one. So the most important things here is one is tickers, one is your start date, end date, one is your auto adjust, and of course the interval, right? As you can see, the interval is 1D, which is your EOD data by default. So here, if you can see the interval, you have to pass as a string. And if you want 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 15 minutes and 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 1 hour. So this is a intraday data which cannot be extended last 60 days. So it is giving last 60 days 1 minute data, 2 minute data, 5 minute data, which is intraday data. But if you want EOD data, there is no limit. You can download the EOD data from the inception. So if you want intraday data like 1 minute data, you can get it for last 60 days only. But if you want the EOD data, you can download from the inception, from the stock, of the stocks. Okay. So now go back to our code and start from the scratch. So this is our Jupyter notebook. So let's first install the Y Finance library. So as you Y Finance. Now for the installation of Y Finance, I have already made a video. It is already in my YouTube channel. I'm going to put that link in my description also. You can just go and check it in details video. But here I'm just showing it so that you guys should not miss anything. So if you run this, so now you can see here the output is requirement already satisfied. So it means that the Y Finance library is already installed in my system. Okay, but for some of you might not get this result, get this message. So it might be, if you already installed, of course you will get this message. But if you have not installed yet, you will simply install successfully. Okay, but in the details video I have already made one details video of installation. I am going to put that link. You can just go and check that out. All right. Now I'm just simply removing this. Once this is done, once the installation is done, what you need to do first is you have to import. Then YF. You can give anything like import yfinance as Y or import yfinance as F, whatever. But I am giving as YF. So whenever next time I'm going to use yfinance, instead of writing yfinance as a whole, I can just put as a YF. That you already know, right? So it's easy. So this is import is done. Now next time whenever I want to use yfinance, I can directly I can use as YF, right? So let's say I want to download. I can simply say, instead of saying yfinance download, I can say YF dot download, right? Now you can see here drop down is coming, right? Okay. All right. So once this is done, so now we can download the data. All right. So as this is a new function that they have created, let's run the same function what they have created there. So if you go back to here, I'm copying the entire function here. Okay, just copy, going here and paste it here. Okay, so I am keeping everything as a default one. I'm not changing anything, but few of them I'm going to change. I am going to change the tickers. Of course, I have to pass the ticker, the start date, end date, action, all these things I'm keeping as it is. Everything I'm just keeping as it is. Okay, I'm not changing anything. I'm just changing. So basically, if you see interval, I need to change. Okay, so action, thread, ignore, group by. So these are all. So I'm going to delete all this. Okay, group by I don't need. I'm just keeping as it is. Yeah, auto adjust. Of course, I need that. I will tell you what is that auto adjust. I don't need everything. Of course, interval also I can change it. Everything else actually I don't need. When I'm saying don't need, it means I'm just keeping as it is at the default one. Okay, so here the tickers, the start, the end, auto adjust, download the data. So I have to make a string, then year 2025, then I have to put 01 and 01, which is 1st of January 2025, and the end date is, let's say, again 2025 is the year, month is May, and the day is 01. So I want the start date as 1st of January 2025 and the end date as 1st of May 2025. All right. Now the auto adjust is none. Now I'm just keeping as. If you go to, okay, let's go back to auto adjust as well. I will tell you what is that. But if you see here, the auto adjust is showing Boolean. By default is true. Okay, so what you need to do now, you just go back and put it as true. Okay, and then the interval is 1 day. So now if you do that, what will happen is basically it will download the data of Apple stocks from 1st of January 2025 to 1st of May 2025 with UOD data. So just run this. Okay, so this yfinance is showing is not defined. As I told you, So we have already named this Y finance as YF, so I have to replace this Y finance as YF. So now if you see that, you can see the data from 1st of January 2025. This is 2nd of January because 1st January is a holiday. That's why 2nd of January 2025 to 31st of April 2025. All right. Because the end date is 1st of May. So it is giving one day early, which is 30 April 2025. Now you can see the data. Okay. So this is addressing my first point, which is how to download historical data from Yahoo Finance with new API. So this is how you can download, but I'm going to give you the entire code. This is just a demo code that I showed you, but I'm going to give you all the entire code. You don't worry about the code I'm going to send you, but I'm just explaining you so that you can understand it. Now the structural change and how to handle it. The structural change, as you can see here, there are multi-index. Okay, there are price, close, high, low, open, volume, and then ticker AAPL, 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 and then the date. So this is multi-index. So this kind of structural changes they have done. And also, if you remember, previously the adjusted close column was there. Now the adjusted close column is not there. Okay, so this is the structural change that they have done. So now let's see, if let's say someone want to download a data of Apple for 1 minute. Okay, so for 1 minute, let's go back and see here. For 1 minute, they have mentioned it is 1 and small m. Okay, now go back, you put 1 and small m. Okay, now I'm just copying this and putting it here so that I'm not changing the real code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just putting 1m, and as I told you earlier, right, as it is mentioned also, 1 minute data it will give you for last 60 days only. So the start date, end date, again it will not valid. So I'm going to remove here, and the auto adjust anyway by default is true, so you don't need that as anyway. I'm going to simply put the Apple and interval is 1 minute. So if you run that, now what will happen? It will give you the data of 1 minute for last 60 days. And here you can see a message, YF.download has changed argument auto adjusted default to true. I'm coming to that actually now. So now you can see, right, the interval by default is 1 day, but if you want to change to intraday interval, you can get the data, but maximum is 60 days. Okay, so now this part you can understand. So now understand the next part, which is your changes in the data. Okay, and then I will give you a complete Python code to download, and the structural change, how to handle that in that code also I'm going to give that. So let's understand these changes in data, which this message is giving you now. YF.download has changed argument auto adjust default to true. So this message is basically the point number 3. Okay, so let's understand this, and this is very crucial. You need to understand this. Okay, all right, now so if you see here, I'm just kind of removing. Let's go back to the original. Okay, if you see here, as I told you, so earlier there was one column called auto adjust. Okay, and now that auto adjust column is not there. Okay, so and only close, high, low, open, volume that is there. So remember this, when you have this auto adjust is true, which sometimes ago the error message was showing, I mean not the error, it's a notification was showing the YF has given the auto adjust is true by default. So if the auto adjust is true, what essentially you are asking Yahoo Finance is, you give me, I don't need the auto adjust column separately, auto adjust close column separately. Instead, you adjust all these value. So this close, high, low, open and volume, this is actually adjusted close, adjusted high, adjusted low, adjusted open. So when I'm talking adjusted, it means adjusting split and dividend. So now when you are saying auto adjusted is true, it means it will give you by default adjusted close, adjusted high, adjusted low, adjusted open. But if you say auto adjust is false, then it will give you additional column called adjusted close, and then all this value will be not adjusted. So now let me run this with auto adjust as false, and I'll show you the comparison between these two value. If you see this, what will happen? Auto adjust column is now there, okay, but the value of close, high, low, open is changed. You see, auto adjust column is there now, but the close value is 243.85006. Here it is 243.582199. What is the high value which is adjusted high? It is 248.8264. Now the high is 249.1006. Why? Because this is not adjusted. Okay. Now let me show you how they have calculated this adjusted value. Okay. So what they did is basically, how to calculate is basically, you have the adjusted close price 243.582199. That divided by your close price, which is 243.85006. If you do that, now you see a number 0.998901. That is the factor. Now if you multiply this factor with your price, with all the price, then you will get this adjusted value. Let's do that. So now copy this multiply with your close. Of course you will get the adjusted close, which is 243.582199. now if you see that 243.582199, this is your adjusted close, and of course here is the same adjusted close, right? 243.582199. now let's do the same for open price, the high. If you multiply with the high price, it is showing the adjusted high is 248.8264. let's see that 248.826433. okay, now this is matching. The same goes to low. Now this multiply with the low price. Of course you will get the adjusted low, which is 241.5544. you see 241.554430. this is the adjusted low. Now going back to the open, so let's multiply the factor with the open price. I'm just copying the open price and multiply with the factor. You will get the adjusted open is 248.65660. now let's go back, 248.656607, right? So now you can see this close, high, low and open is your actually adjusted close, adjusted high, adjusted low and adjusted open. Okay, so now you can understand what are the changes they have done in the data, which are point number 3. Okay, so when you are saying the auto adjusted is true, which is by default, if you are not putting anything also, it will give you by default this data. Okay, now remove this, and interval 1 day, anyway by default is 1 day, so I am removing that one as well. So if you do this, now just run it, you will see these things. Okay, but if you don't need this adjusted one, so of course you have to pass as auto adjust as false, and then you will not get this adjusted close or adjusted high. These are the real close, high, low and open price. Okay, so till now you understand all this point. Now let's do some coding with changing some this structural change and how to download and save for multiple tickers. Okay, so now the start date and end date, of course you can make this as a variable. So what you can do is simply you can just put as start date and here the end date, and then you can just put this one here, and then you can pass this variable to here and here. As this is so simple, so you can just this to define this variable, and now run this, of course you will get this. So now what I can do is similarly I can just create another variable called ticker, and this ticker is the same apple, and then I can pass this variable here, and then I can download the data. Okay, so the spelling was wrong, so okay, so now you get the data. So now what I'm saying is, let's do this for multiple tickers. Okay, let's create a function and write this for multiple tickers. Okay, so let's say I'm creating some tickers here, which is Apple, and then MSFT, which is Microsoft, and then Amazon. In Amazon, the ticker is AMZN. Okay, hope I am correct with the ticker. So now what will happen, and then what I will do, I'm just whatever the data it is download, it will save in a data frame called DF. Okay, so let's remove this, and I'm removing all this. Okay, so now if you see the DF, of course it is showing the Apple data. Okay, so let's first handle this one, the structural changes. So what I will do now here, so what I will do, I will just put only close, high, low, open and volume. Okay, so for that, so df dot columns is equal to, so what I will do, I just need these 4 column name. Okay, so now you have to convert this into a string, of course, and then in a list the string should be separated by comma, right? And that's the Python syntax. You change this. Okay, so if you do that, so close, high, low, open and volume, So now if you do that, so now you can see the column name has close, high, low, open and volume. So let's say I don't want this date as an index. So what I can do, I can say df dot reset index drop is false and then in place is true. So what is drop false and in place true? So if you see the df, it looks like this. So what is this drop false and in place true? So in place true means basically you are, whatever the changes you want to do, you are doing the changes on the data frame itself. Either you can say in place equal to true, or you can say df is equal to df dot reset index drop equal to false. So either you can do this syntax or you can do like this way. So df is equal to df dot reset, and then you don't need to write this true. Okay, so that is the meaning of in place true. In place is equal to true. Okay, so you can also write like this way, but let's understand what is this index drop is false. So basically what I just want that index should be removed, but if I'm saying drop equal to true, what will happen? The complete date index will be removed from the data set, but I don't need that. I need that index will be removed, but the data will be there and it will be added into the column. So that's why I'm saying drop equal to false. Okay, so now you see the data frame looks like pretty good here. Date, close, high, low, open. But you know, in trading world, generally we talk about OHLC data, which is open, high, low, close volume data, OHLCV data, right? So for that, what you need to do, you can change the sequence of first open, then high, then low, then close, and then volume, right? Which is OHLCV. So you can just write it down. The sequence here, you can just copy here. You change the sequence because you want this open to be first and the close to be on the last, right? So change the sequence. You take this close to the last here. So let me just check all the comma should be in a proper format, right? Or else it will give you an error. All right, open, high, low, close, volume, and the date is of course there. So you have to take the date first. Just put date. So now what will happen? Your date, open, high, low, close, and volume. So if you just run this, and now you can see here, it looks pretty good, which is date, open, high, low, close, volume, and your df is now this one. So just check how the df looks like. This is your df. Now let's say if you want to insert the ticker, of course you can insert the ticker here. Just add a column called ticker. So and then it is, let's say, you can say Apple, right? And of course you can just so if you see your df, of course this ticker has been added now in the data frame, right? So so you can just play around this data and you can just find out whatever you want to do for your project. So now I'm just kind of removing all this just to show you how to handle the structural changes I have just shown you. Now you can just put all these code into one one column. Now you can just simply remove all that, and then if you just run it for let's say you have changed this ticker. So of course if you run this, so now you get the data which is looks like this. Okay, of course this is done now, right? Now the next point is basically how to download the for multiple tickers, right? So for that so we can just run a for loop. So as all that for loop is basically say iteration over the it will just keep looping. So now the tickers. So this is the tickers for ticker in tickers print ticker. So you all so all of you know how for loop works, right? So I'm just iterating over the tickers. So if you do that, so it will print all the ticker one by one. So now it will go and print first Apple, then Microsoft, then Amazon, right? So the same formula I may apply here. I'm just copy here, go back to here, just add this code. So now what it will do, it will basically go and download the first ticker Apple, then it will download Microsoft, then it will download Amazon. How? Because this ticker is basically first this ticker will be Apple, then it is Microsoft, then it is Amazon, right? So it can download the ticker one by one. So now you can just add the ticker column as well in the data frame. So you can say ticker is equal to your ticker. So whatever ticker it will download. Okay. So now it will download one by one. So let's check this out. So you can just print the DF. So the DF will be huge. So we can just print the first 5 row of the DF. So DF dot head. It will give you first 5 row of the data frame. And just if you just run it, now you can see here Apple data, here Microsoft data, and Amazon data. So this is how you can download all the 3 stocks one by one. And as you can see on the right corner, the ticker column has been added, and this is the data for Apple, and this data is for Microsoft, and this data is for Amazon, right? Now as you can see, the first date is from 2nd of January 2025, but this is the first row of the data frame. So of course the last row will be 30th of April. So let's check this out as well. So you can just print the last 5 row if you want, or the last row, whatever you want. Let's say you want to just check. So if you do tell, it will give you last, by default it will give you last 5 row. If you just say I want last 2 row, you can just put 2 here, and it will give you last 2 row or 3 row, whatever, right? So if you do that, so what it will happen is basically, if you see here, first it will download Apple data, and this is the first 5 row, and this is the last 3 row. As you can see, the first row starting from 2nd of January 2025, and the last row is 30th of April 2025. That is what our start date and end date, right? As you can see here. The same goes to Microsoft and then Amazon as well. So instead of just printing, you can just save this data to your local drive. So df.to CSV, and then you can give your local drive path, whatever path you can just give it here, right? So that way you can save this data to your local drive and you can do your research work and any sort of work, backtesting or whatever you want to do, you can just do that. So this is how you can download the data for multiple tickers, and this is how you can handle the structural changes they have done with the new Yahoo Finance API. I hope you understand the entire process of Yahoo Finance new API. I hope this video makes helpful for you to download the data from Yahoo Finance, and you should not face any problem in downloading the data from Yahoo Finance with the new API. And I hope I make you understand of the adjusted close and how it is calculated, the adjusted open, adjusted high, adjusted low and adjusted close as well. So thanks for watching this video, and if you have any doubt regarding the coding part or any fundamental things or any issue regarding new API of Yahoo Finance, just put in the comment. I'll definitely revert back to you. I'm going to send this script of Python in my GitHub, and I will share the link in my video link description. You can just directly go and download this particular Python code as well. Thank you so much for watching this. Hope you enjoy this video. See you in the next video. Thank you.